It is the day after Easter, and yesterday I went to church service for the first time in years on Easter, and I treated it a lot differently than I would usually treat church. Why? Because I've been studying the opposite end and who is obsessed in what they do for a little while now, and I took the same principles that they do and the same thought process, and what I found and experienced and saw is absolutely astonishing. So I want to share that. I want to share it with you because I think that it can bring a little bit of a new perspective for you about religion, Christianity, and this kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to get into today on this episode of Questionable Thoughts. So yesterday, I went and surprised my grandma and grandpa at their church. It was like 3.5 hours away from here. I didn't tell them I was coming. I just wanted to go surprise them because I'm not doing anything for Easter, and my girlfriend was working the day, so I decided to go and visit them and surprise them, and they started crying. My grandma was crying, and it was really freaking cool. Okay, I surprised them at their church, and it was really fun. But I went to their church, and I participated in the service, and I'm gonna go ahead and explain from when the service started to now, and the thought processes and stuff. So what happened, right? What had happened, okay, is I got into the church, put the food in the basement because we were having a little potluck breakfast after the service, son, and we went upstairs. Sat on the thing. My grandma's like, "Hey, do you want to do communion?" And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, sure. And so she's like, "Okay, well, we have to talk to the pastor first, the priest first. So like, he has to like be okay with me doing it because it's like it's a ceremony, okay? It's a sacred ceremony, and he wants to make sure that I know what's up. All right. So she calls him over, and he's like, "Hey." She's like, "Hey, he wants to do communion. Can he do that?" He's like, "Hey, well, do you believe in it?" And I'm like, I mean, I get it. And he's like, "No, do you understand like what it is? Like, do you know what it is?" And I'm like, "Well, it's basically the ingestion of the blood and body of Christ." And he's like, "Yeah, it kind of exactly," but he kind of explained it more in depth on like how it's like sacred and like it's a sacrifice and like all of what communion entails. And he says, "Yeah, sure, you can do it." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm in the club." All right. So, I mean, I'm not a religious churchgoer. Okay. I've always kind of been a little bit turned off by it because one, it's kind of boring and I don't feel like you need to go to church in order to be saved and stuff like that. But I'm baptized and I believe in God, but I just feel like sometimes they're pushing too hard to get you to like say and believe a certain thing, and then you don't really get to question, what is going on. Like you don't get to question anything. And that's what this is. This show is called Questionable Thoughts. So I question things all the time, right? And so what happened, and that's why I was kind of like hesitant to say like, yeah, I totally believe it because like, it's not, it's, I even said like, it's not literally the blood and body of Christ. Like it's bread and it's crackers and wine. And he's like, yeah, okay, but it's like the resemblance. Yeah. But anyways, he starts talking and I'm feeling it. We're singing hymns and stuff. Like I'm out here belting that out, dog. And I'm treating it different than I've treated any other church service before because I've been doing a lot of research, and the whole time that we're in this service, I'm like, dude, I take the other side, and I'm thinking about what they do and what they believe in. So what happens is what they do is they do rituals, and they believe that demons and aliens are interdimensional. So what happens is they do these evil satanic rituals, which is the opposite end of the spectrum. And they do these evil rituals to invoke interdimensional demons and aliens into the third dimension. We can only see the third dimension. There are supposedly 12 dimensions, and we live on the third one. What they do is they get in contact with lower dimensions below us, like the second and first dimension. I don't know what they look like. Only they know what they look like. But I don't know if it's like, they look like a picture drawn on a piece of paper. I don't know, because I've never seen them. But what they do is they do these demonic rituals and evoke demons into their dimension, and they take DMT, ayahuasca, and crazy hallucinogens to then unleash the veil of the third dimension so that they can see these beings, these interdimensional beings that they've invoked into the space that they are doing these rituals. Okay, because when you do these rituals, especially the evil ones, the demons know that you are trying to contact them and are attracted to that kind of thing. And so they come to watch, they come to experience it. And when you unleash the veil, you can see them and they can telepathically communicate with you and your soul. Okay, that's what they believe. And, I've listened to a lot of people, and it's the common belief. It's the common thing. Okay, so I'm just going to say that that's not what I say. That is what the research that I've done says that. Okay, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, I've studied also the laws of the universe, and one of the most prominent laws is the law of polarity. That means that when there is one thing, there is an equal, greater opposite. So when there is bad, there is equal or greater good. And when you think about this, that we live on the second dimension, and these people are invoking or are evoking lower dimensional beings because they're easier to contact because they want to travel up. It is a lot easier to evoke lower dimensional, but there's only 2 dimensions lower than us because we're on the third dimension. That means that there are supposedly 9 dimensions higher that live among us or in the same universe that we live on, just in different dimensions. Okay, and they can probably come down. It's harder for them to come down because why would they want to come down? But if you take the idea that God has angels that watch over you and you cannot see them, probably because they are interdimensional beings and you can only see the third dimension. Okay, if you take the idea that angels and demons are actually living among us in different dimensions, then the way that you would evoke angels and higher dimensional beings would be something like church. And I started thinking about that, and I'm like, holy crap. And I started becoming more powerful and being aware of the fact that I'm literally in a spiritual ritual, which is the exact same thing that the elite and the evil people do. It's just on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's the polar opposite in the law of polarity, because if good exists, evil exists as well. Okay, so we're doing the exact same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum. And I started to feel more powerful, and I'm like, wow, I can almost feel a presence here with us right now, because I'm feeling like there's like something like lifting my heart up almost. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And the guy starts talking about death and like eternal and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, really feeling it, right? And then it comes time to communion, to do the communion ceremony. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, when you think about it, I've always thought like it's weird because you're eating and drinking the blood and body of Christ. And like, that is a actual ritual. It's like, that is the same, it's like a mock sacrifice, right? Like at the Bohemian Grove, they do this ceremony called the Cremation of Care, and they burn a fake child body to release the care from their soul, because they don't want care. They don't want to actually feel the guilt when they're doing all these evil things. So they all come together. The most powerful politicians and people on the earth or in the world, they come to this one place and they do this ceremony of the Cremation of Care, which basically relieves them of the guilt and the feelings that make you human and give you emotions of guilt and stuff like that when they do these evil things. And so we're about to ingest the blood and body of Christ, who sacrificed himself for the greater good and to save us as humans, right? That's what they're saying. And I'm like, wow, I am a part of a sacred ritual right now. And it's the same kind of ritual that these evil people do to be evil. I am doing a sacred ritual for the good side, for the polar opposite of the devil, of Satanism. I am doing the exact opposite, and I am here doing a good ritual and a good sacrificial ritual, okay? And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to evoke a higher dimensional being, this is exactly how I would do it. So if the evil side can evoke higher dimensional beings, lower dimensional beings by doing demonic rituals, what if I can evoke a higher dimensional being by doing this right now? Like, what if they're here and I can't see them because I'm not high on DMT, I'm not high on ayahuasca, and I have the veil of the third dimension covering my face, so I can't see them. So we do this ritual. I go up with my grandparents by my side, both on either side, and I walk up the stairs. He says, "Eat the body of Christ," and I take it, and I'm fully immersed in this thing. I'm like trying to almost imagine as if it really is the body of Christ. And so I take it and I eat it. And I'm like, okay, wow, I just ate the body of Christ. And then I go over and there's these little cups, they have wine in them. And he says, drink the blood of Christ. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, this is an actual ritual we're doing right here. But it's for the good. So I am fully immersed. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to go full out. And I drink it. And it's weird. When I drank the blood, when I drank the wine, I can take shots. Okay, I can take shots with no chasers, no problem, and be fine. Don't need to drink anything afterward. When I say that it burned going down, it freaking burned going. I almost coughed it up because it was great. It was like it burned me, and like I almost like choked on it, and it was burning. And so I was like, holy crap! And I nodded to the priest, went back to my seat, and I felt like weird. And then I started looking around and I saw this weird haze that filled the room that was not there before. I can tell you that for a fact because I would have noticed it. But once I sat back down and looked around, there was a haze that filled the room completely. The light was shining through it and there was an actual haze. And I didn't know if it was just my eyes or not. So I'm like sitting here like wiping my eyes like, am I going crazy right now? Or is this like actual effects, like neurological effects from what I just did? Or is it physically here? This haze is physically here. I'm looking around. I'm looking outside. Is there a fire next door or something like that? That's like, and it doesn't smell like anything. I just see this haze that fills the room. And so finishes the service, go downstairs, eat some lunch, eat some breakfast. And then my grandma is the one that fills the, whatever the thing he's called, the thing that holds the communion and the thing that holds the wine for the communion. And so I go, she's like, hey, can you help me out with, I got to go get this thing. And so I go back upstairs and it's just her and I, and it's still hazy in the room, in the room, right? And I'm like, Grandma, does it look hazy in here to you? Like when you look around, is there like almost like a film or like a haziness in this room? And she's like, I don't really know for sure. I don't know if that's just how it always is or what. I do kind of see something. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, well, I don't know if she can actually see it because I don't know if I put that idea in her mind and she's only seeing it because it's a placebo of me saying it to her. So I don't actually know if anybody else can see this or if it's just me and it's a neurological thing that my brain is tricking me like a placebo of like the fact that I think that I'm evoking beings, right? Or something's happening that like physically something is happening and it is in the room and it's filling the room. And so we're cleaning up and then some dude, it's the camera guy. My grandma says, oh, it's the camera guy. He walks in and he comes up to the railing. He's up top. So we're down here. There's a little thingy where he has this camera and he's like filming it for the live stream. Okay, he comes up, he's taking his equipment out, and he says, does it look smoky in here to you guys? I feel like this room is like filled with smoke or something. It doesn't smell like smoke, but is there like a fire outside or something? And I'm like, holy shit. This is actually physically here. This haze is physically here. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing, we were just talking about that. I see it too. I feel you. And then he starts like getting kind of freaked out. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go check outside, make sure there's not a fire or something. Or I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. He actually was concerned enough about the haze in the room that he went to go make sure that everything's fine. That's how prominent this haze was in the room. Is that someone else that didn't hear my conversation came in the room and said, "Is it hazing here?" And that right there was the trigger for me to say, "Holy crap, it's not just me. I'm not just imagining things. It is physically here. This haze is physically here right now." And I don't know if I'm the one who invoked it, because the thing is that was the first time that has ever happened, because I could tell, because the way the guy reacted. That doesn't happen. They light candles all the time, and that was the first time that he probably saw that, because the way that he reacted, he thought that there was a fire outside or something. It didn't smell like smoke though. That's the thing. And so I'm like tripping out. I'm like, holy crap, dude, this is insane. And so basically, where was I going? And so basically, what I believe happened is since that had not happened at that church before, and my grandma says the same thing, that doesn't happen. I think that by me taking it so seriously and having the intention and having the thought process that I had, and the intention and the whole thing of, I could be invoking a higher dimensional being right now by doing this ritual and taking it completely serious and immersing myself in it completely. I could literally do the opposite of what the other side does, but with the power of good and God. And I truly believe that haze was something from a different dimension, showing me that, yeah, you're right, you can do that, because there are both sides of the spectrum. It's not just demons, it's not just humans. There is higher dimensional beings that can come down here too. And especially when, you have that intention and you take it seriously and want answers and almost want to be shown something to prove it to you. Whatever is in that other dimension, I think wanted to show me, yeah, you're on the right track. Because it was physically there, and I was reassured by some random dude who I've never met before, walked in and said, "Hey, is it hazy in here or what?" And that was the reassurance. Something had to have triggered him to come in and say that to me, because I needed to be proven to that this is actually real. And it's not just my imagination. It's not just my eyes giving out. I was tired, and I had driven from 5:20 in the morning, 3.5 hours to church. Okay, so I would have been like, okay, well, it was probably just my tiredness that did it. But until he came in and reassured me that I'm not crazy and I'm not seeing things, I had to know that in order to be a believer, right? And so I truly believe that there are actually higher dimensional beings looking over us, and as long as you can like invoke them, like you can evoke them. And that's what I'm going to start doing, man, is almost knowing, like have faith and have a knowing that there are angels surrounding us and protecting us. Because if I can like call Archangel Michael to like hang out with me and protect me, dude, I'm golden. And I want some sick ass dreams, and I want some proof, and I want to be told what to do. Right? I want a higher dimensional being to come and give me some information. Come tell me what to do. I'll work for you, dog. Just give me some orders, dog. And I think that it could be really cool. And I never thought about religion like that. Like, what if Jesus himself is a higher dimensional being that came in through a human body in our dimension, and he knows that he's a higher dimensional being, and he has powers over us. He has powers that are incapable for humans to use. And he came on here to show us what could be. And what if we can almost tap into that and become higher dimensional beings on this plane, just like Jesus did? I don't know. I don't know if that's a sin because I'm like trying to be Jesus, but I mean, if I don't know, dude. I think that there's definitely some more research to be done on this kind of thing, and I want to do some more freaking God rituals. You know, some more ceremonies to do that, and man, it just kind of blew my mind. Because that's I'm gonna say something right now that is complete speculation, but you know, there's supposedly cloning centers, right? And these people can bring forth interdimensional aliens. What if the cloning centers are a way to create soulless bodies for these lower dimensional beings to jump into? And they come in here and they're evil and they're demons and they live through the bodies of clones so that they can create soulless bodies for them to jump into. And that's who is in control, is our soulless clone bodies that have demons living in them operating on our plane, because they can't operate on our plane without human bodies to jump into. And what if, as a higher dimensional being, Jesus is able to impregnate a woman like literally from a different dimension, from a higher dimension, was able to somehow impregnate Mary with his powers, or God came through, impregnated Mary with the higher powers that they have, and was born and jumped into the soul, or jumped into the body of Christ. And that's who he is. What if it is actually just higher dimensional beings living through our dimensions, just like the lower ones do here? What if Jesus was a higher dimensional being that did what the lower dimensional beings are doing? Because there is both ends, dude. It's the law of polarity. If evil exists, so does the good. And what if the good is what is incarnated on this earth as Jesus? The good higher dimensional beings. I don't know. I could talk about this. I could have a whole conversation about this, but I don't want to make it too long. I do want to leave some room for some more thoughts to come in. But let me know what you think. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to offend any Christians. I just had a crazy profound experience with that haze and with that thought process, and I really immersed myself, and I got all these ideas almost like they were downloaded into my brain. And I kind of want to see if I can evoke some angels to come protect me and guide me on my journey going forward, because that would be freaking sweet to have some angels on my side and be able to know that they're there. And hey, maybe I don't know if I don't know where to find it. Get some crazy psychedelics to unleash the veil of the third dimension. I don't know where to find them. I probably can't out here. But as long as you know you're getting signs, then boom, there you go. We just don't have the ability as regular society to unleash that third veil, to see them actually and telepathically communicate. But there's I could go into that for a while, because so many people just freaking, I mean, it's speculate. I mean, I don't have white papers to prove it, so can't go on YouTube. You know what that means. So yeah, that's my story. That's what I wanted to say, because it is actually insane that I had that experience, and it was really freaking cool. Made me a believer of a lot more. So yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hope that kind of opened your mind up to a list of new possibilities that could be real. Maybe get your brain thinking, get your juices flowing. Hopefully that was able to create some ideas in your own head as to what religion is and all this kind of stuff. Because I was looking at it not from a religious standpoint, but from a, what do others believe? What do the most powerful people in the world that literally want to know the secrets of the universe, what do they believe? Because they've done a hell of a lot more actual scientific research and studies and testing to find out what is real and the secrets of the universe. So if that's what they know and that's what they do, then, you know, so maybe something's real there. And I took that knowledge and applied it into a church ceremony and communion, and that's the results that I got when I took it completely serious and treated it like they treat theirs. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'd love to hear your opinion. And until next time, I'll see you later.